So today we're going to be having a look at the Osmosis pools. We're going to be showing you how to provide liquidity, what it means to provide liquidity, and also just a few things about how to split between the different pairings, and yeah, generally that's it. I've started off with a starting balance of I think around $40 for this. You don't need anywhere near that, you just need some token that you could essentially split by whatever the percentage in the pool is, which will be discussed later. Anyway, with that out of the way, I will put you into the financial disclaimer, and we will continue after that message has been said. First of all, it needs to be stated that anything discussed on Let's Talk Cosmos should not be construed as financial advice. All information should be treated as educational and entertainment purposes only. Cryptocurrencies are incredibly volatile. Any investments in this space should be discussed with a qualified financial advisor. Please be safe, please do your research, and as stated before, only ever risk what you're able to afford. So with that out of the way, as always, let's get into the lab. So if we go over here to osmosis.zone, you will see you have the option to enter the lab. On the left hand side, if we navigate over to assets, you're going to see that I have an available balance of $40.80 across a whole bunch of different things. For instance, Osmo, got some Stargaze, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that, Hawa, or whatever it is. And yeah, that's currently it. So it's only 3 tokens, but there's $40 in the DEX. So the reason I've got this split between a variety of different tokens is I'm going to show you one way of providing liquidity. So if we click over on the pools, you'll see that I've got two pairings that I'm currently in at the minute. And you will see it's the Atom Stars and the Stars Osmo. So when you're providing liquidity, what you want to do is, if you want to do the simpler option, when we add liquidity, you will need to click on the wee button here for single asset LP, and that will allow you to go away, pick up as much of said asset as possible. So for instance, because it's a Stars Osmo, when you click the single asset LP, it's going to default to the first token symbol in the pairing, and what that's going to do is it's going to split whatever you have. So I've got 21.18 available stars at the minute, and if I do this, it's going to split that between 50% stars and 50% Osmo, whatever that ends up working out at. It makes it slightly more simple in terms of being able to allocate assets, because when you're new to this, it might not be as clear on how you work out how to get the the different percentages across 2 different sort of assets. You can still do that, however, as you can see here. If I selected max, you'll see, because I do have 2.69 Osmo, when I clicked max here, it also maxed out the total amount based on this as the 50% percentage. But anyway, because I want to do the single LP asset allocation, I'm going to transfer all of these tokens into Stargaze, and then go back into the pool section and just distribute whatever that comes to in terms of stars across the pool. So if we jump over to trade, let's start doing this. So if I jump back to Osmo, do that and do a swap to stars. And we'll just approve the swap. Just need to jump onto my device. Cool. And we are logged in. Just approve the transaction. Cool. And that is the Osmo transferred to stars. And we will just do that with the last token that I discussed, which was this one here. So that's going to get us 7.76 stars. Let's transfer this across. Cool. And if we jump back to the assets page, you'll see that we've still got the 40.7, and instead of having it in Osmo, stars, and the meme coin, we now have it all just in stars. So if we jump back over to the pools, we're now going to allocate this to the Stars Osmo pool. So if we jump back in, I'm going to describe this page before I start doing anything, because as I say, I want to go into a bit more detail on this. But before we do that, I'm just going to go back here and discuss what we see just in terms of the pools. So at the top, we've got the Osmo price. And as I was discussing earlier about when the rewards are distributed, you can see that there is a timer on reward distribution. Basically, this works on an epoch time. I think it's in Britain typically around, give or take, between 5 and 7 p.m. Every day. These don't need to be claimed, so if you've ever staked Osmo before, or again any other sort of token on this network, you will have seen the option to claim your rewards. When you provide LP to Osmosis, it automatically distributes any rewards to your wallet, to your assets page within Osmosis. So like you seen earlier, when we had everything in a variety of different tokens, that was the rewards just being sent out to the Osmosis address, because I participate in this one, so I get some reward in Osmo, and because of the Atom, I also get some Atom Stars rewards over there. But yeah, that is pretty much it. There's not too much to that. As I say, distribution tends to happen around 5-6 o'clock UK time. You do have the option to create a pool. I've never done this before. It does cost you 100 Osmo to do so, so if you are going to go down this route, unfortunately I'm not going to show you how to do this as part of this tutorial series. One, not knowledgeable enough to be messing about with that personally, so if I find a YouTube video on that, I will post it in the description if you're interested in knowing how to create these pairings, but yes. So down to the incentivized pools, you can see we have all the different pairings. There's quite a considerable amount of them now. Just on the internal side, you can see pretty much everything in the token list has somewhat of a pairing. As I say, if you're creating new networks, that's sort of typically why you would create the incentive pool at the top, but typically you'll never ever mess about with that. But you can see here, every single one of these has the symbol, the main symbol to the pairing symbol, the pool number, the APR, how much you're going to be getting as yearly returns, and also the total pool liquidity. If you jump into these, we get a small breakdown on how much the pool is, how much money is in the pool, how much you've personally got bonded in this pool, and also how much you just have in liquidity tokens. There is a slight difference here, which I'm going to show you when we go to add the tokens that were just swapped into the pool that we're going to provide to just down the line. But there is a slight difference until you start earning on that liquidity. But yep, you'll see the 3 different gauges. So you've got the different bonding types. You can bond for a day, 7 days, 14 days, and it shows you the APR if you decide to bond for each of these, which again we'll show you just down the line. The next table shows you how much you've got bonded across all those different sort of gauges. If you have a variety of different ones, so if you've bonded some for a day, some for 7 days, some for 14 days, you get a total in GAM showing you essentially how much is bonded across all 3 of those categories, really. And as you can see down here, when it comes to the pool catalyst, it shows you the sort of makeup of this pool, which at the minute is 50% Atom to 50% Osmo. You can see how much Atom's in the pool, how much Osmo's in the pool, and also how much of your specific tokens are in this pool. So if I jump back to one that I am participating on, you will see what I mean by this. So we're participating in this pool. At the minute, it's got $55 million worth of total liquidity. Of that, 714 is my liquidity, and 714 of that is my bonded liquidity. Because this has external rewards, mostly driven by the network itself, there was an incentive for, I think it was 80 epochs, so 80 days, where the percentage was essentially boosted to sort of bootstrap the liquidity pools for the Stars token. So if you got in early, good times. As I say, I think the reward started off about 640% within the, I think it was the Atom Stars pool, and it was like 580 within the, oh god, this one here, the Stars Osmo pool. And yeah, it's been quite nice. At the minute, I've just been bonding for 14 days. As you can see here, it's definitely going down percentage-wise, but still nice. So you can see here, out of the total amount of stars that are provided to this liquidity pool, that share of mine is 549, and on the Osmo side, 43. So we're going to provide this liquidity. If we jump onto the Add Remove Liquidity button and click Single Asset LP, we can see we have 62.57 to provide. I'm just going to provide the lot. And if we hit Add Liquidity, we're going to get the standard Kepler sort of prompts. Just going to go through it as normal, and my device has locked itself again, so give me a second. There we go. And if we hit next, just need to verify the transaction. There we have it. And you can now see that that liquidity was added to this pool. So we have $40.6 that we can essentially start earning on. And this is what I was talking about, how there is a difference sometimes between your liquidity and how much you've actually bonded. This is typically only after you've added or removed liquidity from the pool. And anything that's available, basically the difference between this number and this number here, will always appear just as available LP tokens, which you can either, again, withdraw from the pool completely just by removing, or you can... In fact, yeah, we might as well show you the removing liquidity side of things as well then. So, you can see here that we have the ability to remove different percentages. This will work just off the available LP tokens, so you could take out a certain percentage of it. But because we're not going to be doing that, because I just want to delegate more, when it comes round to removing this, I will show you how all that works. So for the time being, I want to put the $40.6 to work, so I'm going to say start earning, and you get the options here at this point to select what sort of bonding period you want. So the bonding period is very similar to the staking sort of unbonding period, where if you set a day, once you hit that unbond, it's going to take you a day before you receive your funds. Very similar, 7 days. If you hit the button, a week later you get it. And again, 14 days, hit the button, it's going to take you 2 weeks to get that into your available balance again. As this is a long-term play, I am going to be putting this in for 14 days, hitting the max button and hitting bond. Hit the approve button, verify the transaction, and we have now bonded the last of that LP. So you can see there that it went up to 755, which is now just the total. And if I jump back to pools, you're going to see the updated total amount there. One thing to keep an eye on is your total bonded assets. Now that that is bonded, this number is going to start growing. It's an easier way of tracking this because currently there's not a lot of tracking done with a mint scan or, again, anything around sort of, you know, this number as a whole, so it's worth keeping an eye on it here. But yeah, that is pretty much the pools section of this covered. If you'd like to see any more content like this, remember to hit the subscribe button. This is a video series, so we're going to be talking about some of the other aspects. We've talked about trade, we've talked about pools, we've talked about assets, we've talked about staking, and we are going to be going on to the voting next, and hopefully, shortly after, we're going to be talking about the internal stats of the Osmosis DEX. So, thanks for listening.